Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv, and here's your Sunday roundup. This is usually when I go over, major events from the previous week, leading into what's going on or what I'm expecting the week to come. So last week, I'm just peeking at my notes. Here, I'll even show you so you know I'm actually doing it. Um, Here are my notes from from every day last week that I shot. Um, so let's see. You know what? Let's do. Actually, you guys don't need to watch that stuff. That's kind of ridiculous. We'll come back over here. All right. So last week we had all kinds of companies predicting what they think is going to happen to Bitcoin over the past, over the coming year. Van Eck, Morgan Stanley, J.P. Morgan, just everybody coming out talking about it. Why? Because you have the new Bitcoin spot ETFs. JP Morgan, although they don't have one, is doing a lot of business with BlackRock to sell that stuff. So it's kind of a big deal for them, even though Jamie Dimon says he'll never talk about it again. I'm going to hold him to that because I know he's going to talk about it again. He has to. He can't help himself. So you had that happen on Monday. On Tuesday, we had, let's see, there was something big. You had OKX getting approved in Dubai. You had Jeremy Allaire's insights. He's from Circle. Jeremy Allaire's insights into stablecoins and what he thinks will come this year in terms of regulation in the United States for stablecoins. Was there anything else significant? Oh, IMF Director Kristalina Georgieva's critical views of Bitcoin spot ETFs. Wouldn't have expected anything else, right? So the IMF is not happy about crypto at all. So I pay attention to what they do, not necessarily to what they say, because they're just trying to throw grenades over at crypto, in general. So that's what I pay attention to. And then you had that $25 billion XRP attempted theft from Bitfinex. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's cute, good try, didn't happen. Bitfinex and Ripple responded quickly and were able to stop that. Um, you had Chainlink having bullish signals according to sentiment on that following Wednesday. We had Core Scientific being allowed to actually come back, come out of bankruptcy. Um, so that's their recovery plan with their operation, because they do Bitcoin mining, so that's kind of a big deal. You have more companies investing in crypto. Who is it? Franklin Templeton is huge on Bitcoin right now. Huge. That's a company I should be paying attention to. Vanguard is not, obviously. That's another company I'm paying attention to. They do other things that I like, but they're just completely anti crypto. And I'm trying to understand why. Like, I'm trying to dig in and understand why they're so much against it. So you had that going on. Cantor Fitzgerald is predicting, big plans and good plans for Bitcoin, as it moves forward. The dominance of Grayscale stumbled, right? Because they had to sell a lot because people were cashing out. That means that BlackRock, Fidelity, and the rest of them were able to respond and pick up some market share. Something else that I'm paying attention to is the fact that when I look at Bitcoin in the Bitcoin spot ETFs, it's the trickle down effect on the companies that are dealing with it, which are mostly publicly traded companies. That's why I'm paying attention, because JP Morgan picked up a lot of business as soon as BlackRock got approved, right? So positive earnings report is what I'm expecting in the next earnings report from JP Morgan. These are things that I pay attention to, where you get to see how both sides, how crypto and traditional finance kind of bleed into each other and kind of spread out. Again, this is called adoption. People aren't necessarily seeing it, but it is. The IRS actually said, hey, look, listen, we know we have that $10,000 rule. We're not going to enforce it this year. We're probably going to enforce it in 2025. We'll see how that works out. They've been getting a lot of pushback over that. Let's see. On the 18th, we had Didex and Uniswap trading volume go up. Actually, Didex surpassed Uniswap in trading volume because of just migrating over, just migrating over to Cosmos. That's big. That's actually big. Uniswap is used to be the big boy. So I'm paying attention to both of those, because I like them both. I like them both. I've done business on both. I've done more in Uniswap than Didex, but I've used both. I like both. No, I'm not being paid to endorse either. Let's see what else happened on that day. MetaMask is making moves in the Ethereum space that could actually um, move their transaction speeds toward the intent of a transaction, right? Meaning, what is this transaction supposed to be doing? And that might get priority over other transactions. That's something I'm paying attention to. Gemini having to give up its license but being approved in Europe is kind of cool. They gave up their license in New York, got approved to do business in Europe. um, let's see what else is going on. Oh, Fidelity's ETF, Ethereum ETF, being paused until March. They were supposed to get something on January 20th. Didn't happen. Well, late last week, didn't happen. Why? Because SEC pushed it off until March. I think it's the same date in March, roundabouts. So that's what I'm paying attention to. More people talking about how they have positive noise about Bitcoin. So I kind of like that. The Right now we're only in, if you look at the fear and greed index, we're only in greed barely. We're just above neutral, right? Just above neutral. Everybody's looking at, oh, there are big drops and blah blah. They're not big drops. Zoom out, look at the chart, and see how far it's come. I'm going to show you in a little while how everything's trading within a very tight band. We dropped below that band a little bit for a little bit of time, and we're back just above that band, again, moving laterally. So it's mostly within that band. So I'm waiting for us to get a little bit higher. We'll get into that as soon as I get into the numbers. Kathy Wood made moves. She was talking about how she expects Coinbase, Tesla, Roku, UiPath, Zoom, Block, and CRISPR Therapeutics to actually do well over the coming year. I would pay attention to that. She's named a few names that I actually like. I do not follow CRISPR though, but I actually started looking at them as soon as I saw the name pop up. I do pay attention to the reasoning behind, right, a trader's ideas about a company and why they think it's going to move up or move down. Right? Anytime an analyst or trader says that, I'm paying attention as to why, and then I'm looking at others to see, well, what's the consensus of that call, and then I start digging in on the numbers if I think I've reached my level of interest and in that consensus. Again, just more ways that I'm using data to trigger me to go do my own research. I have certain parameters that have to be met in various combinations, right? And then once they're met, I'm triggered to go do the research. I've had people ask me via different platforms, hey, can you do research on this? Can you do research on that? If you want me to do research on something, I'm more than happy to, because I'm probably interested in the same thing. But you got to hit me up over on growmybag.tv, because I need to know that I'm dealing with a real human being on the other side, and that's how I know. Let's see what else. Now, today, somebody on vacation got caught out there on a scam call. And that scammer was able to pretend that they were JPMorgan Chase, calling up, and were able to get that person to move $20,000. And JPMorgan said, yeah, we're not going to reimburse you. We're just not. Apparently, let me just get this right. Apparently, there is a loophole, right, in the Electronic Fund Transfers Act that scammer was able to exploit on that victim. And because of that, JP Morgan is not responsible. Now, they're a business. They are a business. They can't afford, I'm pretty sure they would love to reimburse your $20,000 and they'd get it back from wherever, but that's not the case. So they can't hand over $20,000 because of your mistake. You have to pay attention. I mean, not everybody has $20,000 to move, but my company, Rebel Visions Corporation, we do, certain services for other companies, and we actually had a client who is, let's just say they are absolutely in that 1%. And we have that client, got this happened to them twice. They were able to thwart it only because the bank was able to recognize that they were both fake transactions. Now, had they not, this person would have lost about 500 mil. I'm sorry, 500 grand each. And I'm sitting there now think about this. This person moves that kind of money on the regular. But something about these transactions set the bank off and said, "No, I think I'm going to call that. I'm going to call you back." They call, he answers, "No, that's not me." Put the kibosh on the transaction. Had that person on the other side at their bank not recognized something doesn't feel right. They don't know my client on a one-to-one level where they know this person, they know the voice or anything. Just something about the transactions that they were looking at and the transaction that they wanted did not smell right, so they stopped it. Unfortunately, this person didn't have that, and they okayed the transaction. Boom! $20,000 lost. Not to be seen again, unless the scammer's caught in some way. They can trace back the numbers and stuff, but you can fake phone numbers and all that stuff. So it's going to be tough to track that person down. Not impossible, tough. But 20 grand gone. That's painful. We also learned that corporate bankruptcies in 2023 were the highest they had ever been in 13 years. Let that wash over you. The highest they had ever been over the past 13 years, corporate bankruptcies. Excuse me. That's huge. That's mega huge when you stop and think about it. Companies failing. The question is how many, right? How many that will affect the going economy. There was also a report done by a think tank that came to the conclusion that a lot of people already had. It wasn't logistics. It wasn't the pandemic. It was corporate greed that drove prices up. Do with that what you will, but yeah, corporate greed. And in that report, I forgot who did it. If you go to an article in the Guardian, you can actually see it. You'll see where the report came from and all that stuff. But they actually had a chart of all of the companies and how much money they made in record profits, right? And how much they upped that cost to consumers unnecessarily. You had one that was like 1,600%. It's disgusting. And I pay attention to companies that did it. And I do know some of the companies that were on that list. And trying to let it wash over me. In surprising moves over the past 4 days, Shiba Inu had upped their amount of Robinhood had upped their amount of Shiba Inu by 371 billion SHIB. That brings their grand total, I'm looking at my notes, brings their grand total to 346.85 million dollars in Bitcoin in SHIB. Stumbling over my words today because I'm looking forward to watching a movie with my mom, and we got the games today too. American football. Sorry. Then you have a major Bitcoin investor move about $387 million worth of Bitcoin over to Coinbase. It makes you wonder, are they planning to dump? Because that would be the only reason why I would be moving, Bitcoin over to a decentralized exchange. So could we be seeing more downward pressure? It's highly possible. So that's something I'm going to be paying attention to over the next little while. And as soon as the dust settles, how many places, how many companies, how many wallets have that kind of money to dump on Bitcoin, right? So when did you buy? Are you going to buy again? Because it's an unknown wallet. It's an unknown wallet. So it's very interesting to see that happen. On the last bit of news that I'm looking at for today, Trezor wallet, hardware hardware wallet, hacked. 66,000 customers are now open to phishing attacks because Trezor wallet failed. Woof. I don't think it was the wallet, but Trezor got hacked. 66,000 customers. How'd you get hacked? What got hacked? So, I mean, I have to actually stop and think about this. When I think about the other wallets that are on the market, right? I'm looking at Ledger. Now, Ledger's done some things I don't like, but have they been hacked is the question. The answer, no. As far as I know, no. So they've done things I don't like, but as far as I know, they haven't been hacked. You can probably see my dog in the reflection. Where is he? There he is. What you doing, Stitch? Yeah. Hold it. Let me move out of the way. There you go. There he's looking at you. It's okay. So when I look at everything that's going on, I'm paying attention to that Trezor piece. I'm paying attention to how many people. If you're on Trezor, I would strongly advise pay attention to phishing scams. If you feel uncomfortable, move your wallet. Like literally make transfers out of those wallets. Pay attention to that. But that's the news that happened today. For the coming week, yes, I am paying attention to that almost $400 million worth of Bitcoin. I am paying attention to the ripple effects from the Trezor hack. That's already big. You have to pay attention to these things, right? So over the next week, I was expecting good news last week. I was expecting upward mobility last week. And it looks like we haven't really found the floor. Maybe we have. Maybe we have found the floor. I'll ask you guys when I show you the chart later. Have we found the floor of everything? But that $400 million worth of Bitcoin that's been transferred over to Coinbase says that we haven't. To me, it says that we could be looking at 30s next week or this week. So, and I don't mean low 30s. I mean like 38, 39, right? I think we could see that. Depends on what happens with those numbers. Do they transfer into fiat? Right? Do they sell the Bitcoin? Trade the Bitcoin? Swap it for something else? To me, it looks like if you're gonna sell it for fiat. That's what it smells like, right? And then I'm also paying attention to any news that comes out about who's picking up what Bitcoin OTC or via OTC. I mean, really, a transfer could be as easy as, here's a hardware wallet. Here's the hardware wallet. Go transfer the money. You don't know who has that wallet. We wouldn't know until somebody claims it or a transaction happens and we can see where it's going or something like that. Be hard to pinpoint. So we'd be looking at companies to let us know. Right? But for the next week, when I look at the earnings that are coming out, I just spent, earlier this morning coming up with a way to compile the data for all the earnings that are coming out this week. Apparently there are about 391 earnings coming out. And so I wanted to compile a report that would tell me who from $1 billion and above, right? Who's coming out with earnings. Companies like Tesla, Visa, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, Netflix, Caterpillar might be coming out this week, or they could be coming out next week. Remember, all the dates, most of the dates until the day before, 2 days before, something like that, that happens, that gets published, they're only estimated over previous, reporting dates. So Caterpillar is caught, and there are a few companies that are caught between, are they going to report this week or are they reporting next week? Not 100% sure. Verizon is another one that's coming out. I pay attention to Verizon. Verizon is actually the largest internet security company in the world. A lot of people didn't know that. T-Mobile comes out, Abbott Laboratories. You have a few more banks coming out. You've got logistics coming out like Union Pacific. You've got financial institutions like Blackstone coming out. GE is coming out. American Express, AT&T. So you've got representation from a few different industries that I'd be paying attention to that could send signals. General Dynamics, CSX Corporation, another logistics company, Lockheed Martin, for aviation. Just looking at these different things that kind of tell me of insurance companies were progressive. So I'm paying attention to what's going on and how it's going on, what companies are selling publicly traded, what they're selling, what their earnings are going to be, all that good stuff. And then do they have any plays within the crypto space? Again, when I'm looking at investments, I'm not just looking at crypto. I know my nickname is Eddie J on crypto. I get it. However, I do pay attention to stocks, options, bonds, just everything across the board that I'm paying attention to. I also pay attention to real estate movings, what's going on there, just what areas are selling, buying. I'm looking at all the floods that happened. That's going to tell me, nope, don't want to buy real estate there. Because just like cars, you could possibly start to see real estate come on the market because people don't want to deal with it. So a lot of people in Florida had, major problems. And guess what? A lot of people in Florida don't have insurance. A lot of insurance companies left and vacated Florida. So there are things that I pay attention to. Let's see. Those are just my notes again. Oh, Lord have mercy. There's a lot going on. There is a heck of a lot going on. Oh, I should turn that off. That doesn't look great. There you go. So yeah, all the articles that I talk about, all the bullet points that I hit, I've already published the articles. The articles are already out there. But so this week, what do we have coming up with the United States? Let's see. Leading economic indicators come out tomorrow. S&P services PMI, services PMI, manufacturing PMI come out Wednesday. That's from the S&P. Durable goods on Thursday. Retail inventories also on Thursdays. New home sales on Thursday. Personal income, personal spending Friday. That's going to be big. PCE numbers come out, and pending home sales. So you have a lot of stuff going on this week that are more indicators for the Fed to use to figure out what they're going to do in March. Again, it's only a 10%. For me, it's only a 10% chance, really 8% chance that, they actually react and lower rates. I don't think that's going to happen until the next time. That's honestly how I feel about it. Just like I told you before, fear and greed index, we're barely in the greed zone. If you notice, we're really, really close to neutral. DeFi Llama, we're still at about 75 billion, almost $76 billion in total value locked. And this is what I was getting at. Now, look at my yellow band over here, right? From 41,416 up to 741. Those are the lines that I'm paying attention to. That's that band that I keep noting. And if you look, we broke upward of the band previously. We've broken lower of the band previously, and we did it again right here. But when you look at the bulk of the transactions that are happening, we've been moving laterally. So I'm paying attention to how we're moving to see, are we going to see another dip? Now, when I look at this 200-day moving average for Bitcoin, yeah, you can see it starting to kind of hit a point where it can start to curve down. Really can. So when I'm looking at this, I'm kind of saying to myself that $400 million in Bitcoin that was transferred over to Coinbase, we could see a dip. We could see an ugly dip this week, right? I told you my number could go down as far as 38,000. That's really where I'm thinking, because right here you saw us dip all the way down to 40,000, about 40,200, right? I'm thinking we could dip further down. And I'm sticking to my guns. I honestly do not think we will ever see $35,000 Bitcoin again, unless it was a mistake or a blip. I don't think we're going to see that number again. So again, I'm thinking the lowest number we could possibly hit right here. If I was to set it, it'd probably be, you could see right here where you can actually get to this number, but I don't think that's going to happen. I really do think it's going to be in the 38 range. probably right about there, 38,256. That's what I'm thinking that we could get to. But even then, not a monstrous drop when you actually zoom out and look at the same chart. When I look at opportunities, everybody's down. So even though things are green and looking up, everybody's significantly down at the moment. Toncoin is down. ETH is actually down. When you look at a broader picture, it's down. So right now is actually when I would start to look at what use cases do these coins serve, what other coins match those use cases, and which one is moving better, right? Which ones do I think have the better opportunity to move? Somebody asked me, I was looking at Shiba Inu earlier, but this is what I'm looking at. So right now, Bitcoin's down for year to date, negative 1.33. Ethereum up 8.37. We've seen higher numbers, but right now, 8.37. Over the past 90 days, I just realized that over the past 90 days, Ethereum's also outperformed Bitcoin. That's nuts. Actually, when I come across outperform, dead heat. So in the past 24 hours, all the way up to the past 24 hours, Ethereum's still done better than Bitcoin. That's amazing. That's actually amazing. Solana, not all that great across the board, but remember, over the past 90 days, they're still up 200%. That's better than most, even Ethereum, just better than everybody. So again, things I pay attention to. Cardano, still up, not for the year. They're down 13, just changed, 13.83%. But I'm sitting back and I'm going, Cardano is due in 2024. I just have a feeling that Cardano is going to hit a major stride in 2024. So they're definitely in my DCA routine, right? There are certain coins that just stay in my DCA routine just because. I was speaking with my boy Morgan, or we were chatting back and forth, and I agree with him. XLM, I keep telling people, don't sleep on Stellar. Don't sleep on Stellar. Let's see, Control F. Here's XLM. They're not doing so great, down almost 10% on the year, right? Let's go back. I don't want to see it as an individual. I want to see it against others. There you are. All right, so Stellar down 9.85%, but I think when everything starts to go up, Stellar's also going to go up, and it's going to go up better than a lot of other coins. No, I don't mess around with Ethereum Classic. Let's see, Injective is another coin that I like. People are paying attention to it. I'm paying attention to it. Part of my DCA. Optimism, part of my DCA. Something I do like. I pay attention to it. Near, I don't really mess around with, but I think Near has got big potential to go up as well. I mean, down 18.56%. I can easily see them going up again. Look at how well they were doing it over the past 90 days. Again, when I'm looking at the long picture, when I'm not trading day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, when I'm looking at the long picture, that's the conversation I'm having. If I'm looking at a shorter term, that's when I'm paying attention to moves, to sways of that 5% range. That's where my 5% rule comes in. Above 5%, I'm mostly looking at, long term. Below 5%, I'm looking to cash in, cash out, right? I'm looking to make moves right there. That's the trader side of me. And then I have the hodl side of me. And I have different wallets for both sets of ideas and moves. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing, drop me a note. Love to hear from you. If you have ideas about how I can improve, would love that too. Somebody actually said I should hurry up and get to my point. But you should understand a little bit that although I do a ton of research, sometimes I'm talking out my ideas and I need to hear them so I can kind of figure out what I'm doing next. And I'm bringing you along for the ride. So I understand that I could be talkative sometimes. Sorry. But if you have good suggestions, that actually was a good suggestion and I'm not upset about it. Sometimes I can take a little bit long and I need to get to the point. But really, if you have ideas about what I can do, please hit me up. Just do it on growmybag.tv because that's where I'm really paying attention to things. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Good luck this week. You'll hear from me tomorrow. Bye-bye.